Hey guys, happy E3. It's Frankly Games, and this is personally one of my favorite times of the year as we get to see all the new games and occasionally we get to see new technology being presented. Now, since the Nintendo Direct is only a few days away, I thought it would be the perfect time to predict what they will showcase. Now, instead of making this gigantic list of what I think is going to happen, I'm going to go franchise by franchise and talk about each one. So, starting off with the franchise that started it all is Mario. So, Mario has some information, kinda, of what could be shown. However, it's pretty unlikely, to be honest. Some people are anticipating Mario Kart 9 to be shown, while others saying nothing of note will be showcased. I'm honestly kind of leaning toward the notion that nothing will be shown this year, because to me, well, it just makes sense. Mario had his 35th anniversary just last year, and if they were going to show a huge game like Mario Kart 9 or Mario Odyssey 2, I would think that they would show it during his anniversary. However, I wouldn't really be surprised if Nintendo released a smaller game or a remaster of sorts for an old game. Even though I don't think anything of note will be really shown, that doesn't necessarily mean bad news, as the Red Plumber's absence makes way for other franchises to share the spotlight. Speaking of which, next up is Donkey Kong. Now, there are rumors stating that Donkey Kong will have a crossover game, kind of going along the lines of how Mario and Rabbids was. I think that this is pretty plausible, and it's not anything like too crazy and out there, but it is something that we can look forward to and sink our teeth into. In regards to a bigger title, though, this is where it kind of gets interesting. So we know that Retro Studios is hard at work on Metroid Prime 4, but where does that leave the main developers for Donkey Kong then? Well, the developers that worked on Mario Odyssey are going to now work on this new Donkey Kong game. That's right, we might get a full 3D Donkey Kong game like Donkey Kong 64. This was the first game that came to mind when I was making this. So, anyways, I believe that there is a possibility that a new big title could be showcased this year. I just wouldn't go into E3 expecting it. But honestly, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The Zelda franchise has a lot to potentially announce. So first off, it's Zelda's 35th anniversary, and so far all we have announced is the Skyward Sword remaster. Now that's all good and that's awesome, but in the past Nintendo has gone all out celebrating Zelda's anniversaries, and a lot of people are just waiting for the bigger reveals. And what better time to reveal huge news than E3? So to answer this, people are thinking that Wind Waker and a Twilight Princess remaster will happen. Now, at first, this kind of sounded, well, not realistic at all. But then the more I thought about it, the more probable it actually sounded to me. Both of these games are beloved, and to have a total of three great remasters to help celebrate this anniversary would definitely be a great start. Also, I would bet that Breath of the Wild 2 will be shown as well. Nintendo stated in one of their last directs that later this year they would have more news on it. And while we really haven't heard anything yet, so I'm thinking E3. I personally don't think Breath of the Wild 2 will come out this year, though, as I feel like it would be a bit too early, but coming out in 2022 sounds more than reasonable. Finally, we have Age of Calamity's second DLC pack scheduled for later this year. Now, they almost certainly won't showcase a DLC portion of the game, but at the same time, it's not completely unheard of that companies do show DLC for games. As for Metroid, here's to hoping they have some sort of news surrounding Prime 4. I I'm really hoping. Although I really don't know if they will or not. I believe that Metroid Prime 4 will be one of, if not the best game on Switch, as Retro Studios seems to be working extremely hard on the game, staying silent for so long about it. But if I'm being completely honest, I feel like Metroid Prime 4 will come out on the next system, whether that would be the Switch revision or even the Switch 2. Maybe we'll get like a small game released for Metroid. People are talking about like a small 2D game. But other than that, Metroid will continue to stay in the dark. Going along the same lines as Metroid, I feel like Kirby won't be showing anything huge this year, although it's for a completely different reason, as Kirby's 30th anniversary is next year, and to release a big game right before your anniversary, I don't know, that just wouldn't really make sense. We might get a small game, however, because I feel like Kirby is one of the more flexible franchises Nintendo has, and they could really just make something pretty solid fast for Kirby and sell it like wildfire. Moving on to Pokemon, they have two huge titles coming out relatively soon. So for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, I don't see anything coming to E3. We already pretty much know everything about these games, and since Nintendo stated that these games will follow their original storyline, there isn't really much else we need to know about them. However, Pokemon Legends Arceus is a completely different story. Fun fact, more people watched the trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus than they did for the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes. So it is safe to say that people are really itching to get more information about this game. And why not show it off at the biggest gaming event in the world? I mean, honestly, I'm stoked for both of these games and I want to see each of them at E3. But realistically, we'll probably only see Pokemon Legends Arceus. Good news for Fire Emblem fans, though, as they will most likely show something at E3. This is because Fire Emblem Three Houses has already been out for a few years now, and with hardly any real news about a new Fire Emblem game, I think it would be perfect to release something big right now. However, even if they don't show anything big, we will almost certainly get something smaller, like a remake, or maybe even a small new game. Either way, Fire Emblem news is nigh. A lot of people have been predicting Pikmin 4 for this E3, and I honestly don't really know why they are predicting it for this E3, but alas, it would be really cool to have a Pikmin 4. Pikmin has always been a really solid game to play, and going on a new adventure is always welcome in my book. Well, that's pretty much all I got in terms of bigger announcements. Although I am calling it right now, they will have a pretty sizable chunk of indie games coming out soon. Nintendo has been working with smaller game developers ever since the Switch came out, and with Shovel Knight blowing up in popularity, small game developers are flocking toward Nintendo right now, hoping to get some recognition. So why wouldn't Nintendo showcase a lot of indie games? It's a business deal that really works for both parties. Finally, it's kinda a tradition. Well, not really kinda. It is a tradition for Nintendo to have one last huge reveal at the end of their direct. So it really becomes a guessing game on what this big reveal will be. Now, I have four guesses that I think are within the realm of possible. They are Bayonetta 3, Mario Kart 9, Metroid Prime 4, and a Switch revision or even the next gen Nintendo console. Any of these reveals would be huge and definitely get people's attention this E3. And that is exactly why I think one of these will be shown. Now, if I'm being completely realistic, I'm betting on the Switch revision since the Switch has already been out 4 years And when the Wii U was 5 years old, they replaced it with the Switch. However, this revision of the Switch would actually coexist with the current Switch instead of just instantly replacing it. Overall, I think Nintendo will have a good lineup of games. This E3 will be one to remember, not only because I feel like it's going to be a very solid E3, but also because it's the first one to happen after COVID-19. One thing to note, however, is ever since the Switch came out, Nintendo has been knocking these directs out of the park, literally. So at least for Nintendo, their direct will probably be better than we're predicting. So here's to hoping that this E3 is the best year yet. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.